All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the National University of Singapore.
NUS.
NUS.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Hmm.
the goal, as always, is to sort of sift through all this material that you've given us and try to figure out, like, what makes this place tick,
Yep, exactly.
What's really going on over there?
Yeah, you've given us a lot to dig into, like their global reputation and, their academics and even student life. So,
Yeah, and even just glancing at the materials you sent, it's obvious that NUS is consistently ranked, among the top universities in the world.
oh yeah, for sure.
Like, we're talking top 20 globally
Globally,
and number one in Asia. I mean, that's huge.
absolutely. And it's been that way for a while. They've
Yeah.
got a history going back to 1905,
Wow.
over a century of excellence. So,
It's got to count for something, right?
yeah, definitely. It speaks volumes about their commitment to, maintaining those high standards. And
Right. So what are we seeing as the main factors contributing to this level of excellence?
well, I think it's their dedication to academic rigor combined with a real forward-thinking approach.
Okay, so let's dig into those academics a little bit, because looking at the sheer variety of programs, it's quite impressive.
Oh, yeah.
They've got over 400 undergraduate and graduate programs.
It's really impressive.
I mean, covering everything from business and economics and engineering and technology
Hmm.
to medicine, life sciences, and even arts and humanities. I mean, it seems like they've got it all.
It's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. But is it just about offering a ton of options, or is there something more to it?
It's definitely not just about quantity, right? It's about the quality within each of those programs and the depth they go into.
Mm.
And a big part of that is their focus on research.
Okay, so research is obviously a major focus, but you mentioned these really interesting industry connections as well.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about those?
Definitely. So we're talking about collaborations with some of the biggest names in the tech industry, like Google, Microsoft, IBM. And these aren't just, superficial partnerships.
Right.
They're working together on real-world projects, particularly in AI research. So you have students getting the opportunity to work side by side with industry experts tackling cutting-edge problems.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a fantastic experience for them. And a lot of these collaborations actually lead to internships or even direct job offers after graduation.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about the immediate research, but it was like setting them up for the future.
Exactly. It's about building those connections and making those connections matter.
That's great.
Yeah, and then you have their research centers, which are really pivotal in driving innovation across a range of fields. Like in artificial intelligence, they've made significant advancements in machine learning algorithms.
Wow.
And in biotechnology, they're making breakthroughs in areas like cancer diagnostics and in sustainability. They're really pioneering some incredible urban environmental solutions.
So they're really covering a lot of ground.
Yeah, they are. And the research focus directly feeds into the curriculum, so
Mhm.
it's not just theoretical knowledge, it's very practical and applied.
So it sounds like they're really emphasizing that hands-on real-world approach rather than just, being stuck in textbooks all the time.
Absolutely, and you can see the results of that in their global recognition. We talked about those QS World University rankings, placing them 8th worldwide and number 1 in Asia. That's a direct reflection of that commitment to research and high-quality teaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so for someone listening right now and they're
Yeah.
thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, how do we even get started?
Yeah, good question.
What are the requirements, the admissions process? Like, what do people need to know?
Well, the first thing is understanding the eligibility criteria. And it's pretty similar for both undergraduate and postgraduate applications. You need really strong academic credentials.
Okay, so good grades, basically.
Yeah, good grades are fundamental. And if English isn't your first language, you'll need to prove your proficiency through tests like the IELTS or TOEFL.
Right, of course.
And then you'll also typically need standardized test scores. So for undergraduate applicants, that's usually the SAT or the ACT.
Mm-hmm.
And for postgraduate programs, it's often the GRE or GMAT, which focus on verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and analytical writing.
So you have to kind of clear those initial hurdles before you even really get started?
Yeah, those are kind of the baseline.
Okay, and then what happens after that?
So the application process itself is multi-stage. You start by going to the NUS website and choosing the program you're interested in.
Mhm.
And then you fill out an online application where you'll need to submit your transcripts, your test scores, a personal statement outlining your goals and motivations, and any other supporting documents they might require.
So it's pretty standard so far.
Yeah, it's fairly similar to other universities at that level.
Hmm.
But then depending on the specific program, they may also invite you for an interview,
Okay.
which could be in person or virtual, or they might have a specific entrance exam that you need to take.
So there's a few extra steps, potentially.
Yeah, there can be.
Okay, and then after all of that, what happens?
Well, then there's a review period, and you'll eventually get a notification about your application.
Hmm.
And if you're successful, then international students would need to apply for a student visa.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk money because, for a lot of people, that's a major consideration when choosing a university.
Absolutely.
What kind of tuition fees are we looking at NUS?
Well, it varies depending on the program and level of study, but for graduate programs, you're looking at annual fees somewhere between 17,500 and 50,000 Singapore dollars.
Okay.
And for postgraduate programs, it's a bit higher, typically between 30,000 and 60,000 Singapore dollars per year. So yeah, it's a significant investment.
Yeah, those are some big numbers. But the information you sent also mentioned scholarships and financial aid. So what are the options there?
Yeah, thankfully, NUS is really committed to making their education accessible regardless of financial background. So they offer a range of scholarships and aid based on both merit and need. Some of the big ones are the NUS Global Merit Scholarship, which is super competitive and rewards exceptional academic achievements. And then there's the ASEAN Undergraduate Scholarship, specifically for students from ASEAN member countries.
Yeah.
And for postgraduate students, there are often research assistantships and teaching assistantships available, which provide financial support in exchange for, helping with research or teaching activities.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth checking out the NUS website to see what's available and what the specific requirements are.
It's good to know that there are options out there.
Definitely.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the overall student experience at NUS.
Sure.
What's the campus environment like for students living and learning there?
Well, the campus is designed to be, a holistic environment for learning and growth. So you've got top-notch facilities, modern libraries, well-equipped labs, and contemporary dorms with a variety of housing options.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice environment, and they really emphasize collaborative learning with lots of dedicated spaces for group work and interaction. And the classrooms are high-tech, designed to, really enhance the learning experience.
It's cool. And, obviously university is about more than just academics.
Oh, absolutely.
What kind of extracurricular activities and opportunities for personal development are there?
Well, NUS has a really vibrant student life scene with over 200 clubs and societies covering just about every interest you can imagine.
Right.
You've got academic and professional organizations, sports teams, cultural groups, you name it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great way for students to, connect with people who share their passions, develop leadership skills, build a sense of community. And on top of that, they have well-established exchange programs with leading universities worldwide.
Oh, wow. So students can really get that global experience.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to broaden their horizons and gain some international exposure.
Absolutely. So, this all sounds really fantastic. But at the end of the day, a lot of students are thinking about their careers.
Of course.
What are the typical career trajectories and opportunities like for NUS grads?
The career prospects are actually exceptionally strong.
Okay.
The data shows a high employment rate for graduates, usually within a pretty short time frame after they finish their studies.
Okay.
And the university's reputation obviously helps a lot. Top employers from all sorts of sectors are really keen on hiring NUS graduates.
So who are we talking about specifically?
Well, some of the biggest names that consistently recruit from NUS are Google, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, Singapore Airlines. It's a pretty impressive list.
Yeah, that is impressive.
And it really shows how much value an NUS education holds in the global job market.
Absolutely. And the sources you sent even included some figures about potential salary ranges.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Like, what are we talking about?
Well, for engineering grads, the starting salary is typically around 66,000 to 70,000 Singapore dollars per year. And in the medical field, entry-level salaries can often go over 100,000 Singapore dollars a year. So you can see the financial rewards are pretty competitive.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a testament to the skills and knowledge they gain during their time at NUS.
For sure, for sure. So, obviously no university experience is perfect.
Right.
And the research you did touched upon some of the challenges that students at NUS might face. What are some of those, and maybe even more importantly, how does NUS help students overcome them?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges that comes up a lot is the academic pressure.
Right.
NUS has really high standards, which is great, but it can be pretty demanding for students.
It can be tough.
Yeah, for sure. So to help with that, they offer resources like the Center for Development of Teaching and Learning,
Okay.
which runs workshops and support services to help students improve their academic skills, their time management and learning strategies.
So they're really trying to provide support there.
Definitely. They also encourage students to, reach out to professors for help and to form study groups.
Yeah, that makes sense, that community aspect.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, there's the financial side of things, which can be a big worry for a lot of students.
Right on top of the tuition, there's just the general cost of living.
Exactly. And living in Singapore is not exactly cheap.
No, it's not.
So beyond scholarships, they do have some other initiatives to help. For example, they have a student employment program that helps students find part-time work on campus.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a good way to earn some extra money. And then there are also a bunch of student discounts available for things like goods and services, which can help ease the financial burden a bit.
Okay, so they're trying to be creative in finding solutions.
Absolutely. And then there's the whole issue of competition. With such a high-achieving student body, things can get pretty intense.
I bet.
Yeah, it can be a lot. So the key is to encourage students to focus on their own personal growth and development rather than just trying to outdo everyone else.
So it's more about self-improvement.
Exactly, and extracurricular activities are a great way to do that.
Yeah.
They allow students to develop valuable skills and build a well-rounded profile. And seeking mentorship from faculty or older students can also be really helpful.
Okay.
NUS also tries to foster a more collaborative environment through group projects and things like that.
So trying to move away from that cutthroat mentality.
As much as possible, yeah.
Mm.
And then, of course, for international students, there's the added challenge of adjusting to a new culture and potentially dealing with homesickness.
Yeah, that can be really tough.
It can be. So NUS encourages them to join student communities and cultural clubs as a way to connect with others, make friends, and, find a sense of belonging.
And they're people.
Exactly. And staying connected with family and friends back home is super important too.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, just getting out there and exploring Singaporean culture, trying new foods, visiting local attractions, all of that can help students feel more settled and at ease in their new surroundings.
So really embracing the experience.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've got the academic pressure, we've got the financial worries, we've got the homesickness and the culture shock. And on top of all of that, students have to find a way to balance their studies with extracurriculars and their social life.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is.
Oh.
So what kind of advice does NUS offer in that regard?
Well, a lot of it comes down to time management.
Right.
Learning how to set realistic goals and prioritize tasks effectively is crucial.
Yeah, and also knowing when to say no.
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in all the exciting opportunities, but it's important to avoid overcommitting yourself.
Right, you can't do everything.
No, you can't. And it's also essential to make time for self-care. Getting enough sleep, eating well, doing things you enjoy that helps you relax and recharge.
Obviously.
Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to perform at your best academically.
No, for sure. And then, as graduation approaches, a lot of students start thinking about internships and job opportunities.
Yeah, that's a big focus.
What kind of resources and guidance does NUS provide in that area?
Well, they have a dedicated career center that offers a whole range of services like career counseling, resume workshops, interview, prep, job fairs, all that good stuff.
So they've really got you covered.
Yeah, they do. And they also really encourage networking, connecting with professionals, alumni professors, anyone who can give you insights into different career paths and opportunities.
That's great.
And of course, gaining relevant work experience through internships or part-time jobs during your studies is always a huge plus.
Makes you stand out.
Definitely shows you're proactive and you're already getting that real-world experience.
Absolutely. So it sounds like NUS is really proactive in helping their students succeed.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely invested in their students' success.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm seriously considering applying to NUS in 2025.
Yeah.
What are the absolute key pieces of advice for putting together a strong application?
Okay, well, based on what we've seen here are some things to keep in mind. First, you really need to understand the specific admission requirements for the program you're targeting.
Okay.
So pay attention to things like the GPA requirements and the English language proficiency requirements.
Right. So do your research, basically.
Exactly, and they're what
Right.
they're looking for. And aim for the highest academic scores you can, because non-US is very competitive.
So those grades are crucial.
Yeah, they really are. And if English isn't your native language, put in the time and effort to get a great score on the IELTS or TOEFL.
Okay.
And your personal statement is super important too. It needs to be authentic and compelling.
Yeah.
You need to clearly explain why you want to study at NUS and what your goals are for the future.
So really sell yourself, basically.
Yeah, exactly, but in a genuine way.
Okay.
And strong letters of recommendation are also crucial. You want recommendations from teachers or mentors who really know you well and can speak to your abilities and your potential.
So choose those recommenders wisely.
Yeah, choose them carefully.
Okay. What else is important for NUS specifically?
Well, they really value value well-rounded individuals. So highlight your involvement in extracurricular
Yeah.
activities. And if you've held any leadership positions, definitely mention that.
Yo's initiative.
Exactly. And don't forget about scholarships.
All right.
Do your research and apply for any scholarships that you might be eligible for, because that can really help with the cost of tuition.
Yeah, those scholarships can be a lifesaver.
They can, and be meticulous about deadlines.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure everything is submitted on time. If your program requires an interview, thoroughly practice common interview questions, do some research on the faculty and the program structure.
So be prepared.
Be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're choosing your program, make sure it aligns with your academic interests and your career aspirations. Be able to articulate why this program is the right fit for you.
So you're not just picking something randomly.
Exactly. Think about your goals.
Okay.
And if you have any prior research experience or relevant work experience, highlight that in your application, because it shows you're already taking initiative and you're interested in going beyond the classroom.
That makes sense.
And if you're open to different options, consider applying to more than one program within NUS.
Oh, that's a good strategy.
It increases your chances of admission. And finally, stay updated.
Stay updated.
Yeah, check the NUS website regularly for any updates or changes to their admission policies.
So you're not caught off guard.
Exactly.
That's great advice. Okay, so now let's talk more specifically about what an NUS education can do for someone's academic and career journey.
Sure.
What are the real advantages?
One of the big ones is the interdisciplinary and innovative nature of their curriculum.
Okay, how so?
Well, they're constantly adapting their programs to reflect current industry trends.
Okay, so staying up to date.
Exactly. For example, they've been integrating areas like AI and business analytics across various disciplines. So when students graduate, they have the skills that employers are actually looking for.
That's so important.
It is, and they really emphasize those high-quality internships and strong industry connections.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, and that's invaluable for gaining practical experience and often leads to job offers after graduation.
So they're setting students up for success.
Definitely. And the global exposure they offer is also really valuable.
Through those exchange programs.
Exactly. They have exchange programs with top universities in the US, the UK, Europe, all over the world.
Wow.
And that gives students a truly global perspective and helps them develop important skills like cultural adaptability and cross-cultural communication, which are hugely valuable in today's interconnected world.
Yeah, employers are definitely looking for that.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's the research side of things. NUS invests heavily in cutting-edge research across fields like biotechnology, digital transformation, sustainable energy.
So there are a lot of opportunities for students to get involved.
Tons of opportunities. They can work alongside leading experts, often using state-of-the-art labs and facilities, and potentially be part of groundbreaking discoveries.
That's incredible.
It is, and thankfully all of this is made more accessible thanks to the various financial aid options they offer.
Right, so money doesn't have to be a barrier.
Ideally not.
Okay, so we've talked about all the amazing opportunities,
Yeah.
but it's also important to be realistic.
Of course.
What are some of the key things that students need to consider before applying to NUS?
Well, firstly, be prepared for a competitive admissions process.
Yeah?
They have high standards for both academics and extracurricular involvement, so you need to be prepared to put in the work.
Makes sense.
And secondly, although scholarships and financial aid are available, Singapore has a high cost of living.
Right.
So even with financial assistance, you'll need to be really careful with your budgeting.
So plan ahead.
Exactly, plan ahead. And finally, be aware that the academic environment is demanding. It requires strong time management skills, dedication, and a proactive approach to learning. You can't just coast through it.
You got to put in the effort.
Definitely, you got to be ready to work hard.
Okay, so to wrap things up, we also have some insights from experts on NUS. What are some of the key points they emphasize?
Well, Professor Ten Eng Chai, who's the president of NUS,
Yeah.
he talks a lot about the university's commitment to transformative education and cutting-edge research that addresses global challenges. He really emphasizes the importance of a multidisciplinary approach to education so that graduates are prepared to tackle the complex issues facing the world today.
So it's not just about learning facts, it's about learning how to think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Bertil Anderson, who's the former president of Nanyang Technological University, he highlights NUS's consistent excellence in both academics and research innovation.
Okay.
He points to their top global rankings as evidence of their prestige and their influence on both education and industry, not just in Singapore, but worldwide.
So they're really a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely they are.
That's awesome. And finally, we have some real-world success stories from LetzStudy.
Yes.
which is an organization that helps students with their university applications.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a quick overview of those examples?
Yeah, so we have Aryan Singh, who initially found the NUS application process a bit confusing,
Understandable.
especially regarding scholarships and the statement of purpose. So LetzStudy helped him choose the right course. They helped him write a compelling SOP, and they assisted him in securing partial scholarships.
That's great.
Yeah, he's now pursuing his master's in mechanical engineering at NUS.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then we have Mira Iyer, who was passionate about computer science but worried about the tuition fees.
Right.
So LetzStudy helped her find and apply for fully funded scholarships. They helped her prepare for the IELTS, and they gave her advice on the visa application process. And in the end, she received the ASEAN undergraduate scholarship.
Wow. So she was able to achieve her dream.
Exactly, she got there. And then finally, we have Rahul, who wanted to do an MBA in finance at NUS. But he was a bit unclear about the deadlines and the specific entry requirements. So LetzStudy provided step-by-step mentoring for the GMAT. They helped him refine his application materials, and they gave him coaching for the interview. And he ended up getting accepted.
That's fantastic.
It shows that with the right guidance and support, you can really achieve your goals.
Absolutely. So to sum up our deep dive, it sounds like NUS offers a world-class education.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a strong global reputation, a diverse range of innovative programs, incredible research opportunities, and excellent career prospects for their graduates.
It's an impressive package.
It is, but it's not a walk in the park.
No.
The academic environment is demanding and the cost of living in Singapore is high.
Right.
But they do offer a lot of support and resources to help students navigate those challenges.
They do. They're really committed to their students' success.
That's great to hear. So if you're looking for a globally recognized degree that can really boost your academic and career growth, NUS is definitely worth considering.
Absolutely. It's an excellent option.
And on that note, here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked about NUS's dedication to innovation and their focus on global challenges. So what kind of impact do you envision making with an NUS education? What fields of study or research would best equip you to make that impact?
That's a great question.
It's something to think about as you explore your academic future.
Definitely.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into NUS.
It's been a pleasure.